How about it, Gary? Can you hear me? I'm not hearing anybody here.
Well, there's John's here.
They can hear everything we're saying. Guess we're doing the pledge, eh? Our flag's right there. Oh, those cameras.
With your foot.
It can be extended after that if you want, but I don't know, any other
Let there be sound.
questions or any comments? Or, I mean, we kind of left it at that at the last.
There's gotta be some questions on how it works.
Well, at this point, it's a matter of each department telling the capability of them being able to perform what they need to get done in 4 days instead of 5.
So that was probably one of the questions we need to talk about is what does this look like if we do this? Would this be by seniority, everybody who is going to do it takes a certain day off? Do we close the building for 1 day and everybody takes that day off? You know, that's part of, but that's on our end. That's not on their end. I mean, we reduce manpower by 20%. All we got to do is tell them what we're reducing by. How we do it is up to us. It's not up to unemployment. They just want to know how many and what the plan or who they are. So.
Just to kind of throw out there, in the planning process, if the decision was to close the building 1 day a week, you know, I can't close the court without the Supreme Court's approval.
Right.
So
Yep, so those were the discussions that had to be made. Do we close certain offices? It would seem a little, as we talked about it, it's a little more comfortable that everybody gets a Friday off or a Monday off instead of by seniority, you get a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. That seems difficult to me, but could be done if need be.
Fridays are the day, just throwing it out there, Fridays are the days that we get the majority of the transmittals because it's the end of the week.
Yeah.
And also our procedures wouldn't warrant a Friday, Monday, as far as my office only, and the other offices that are turning in information. That can be adjusted, but that's,
My gut told me Mondays too, just because that's a day when maybe people come up to get business done. If they're not full-time residents here, they might need to, but then equalization said their busiest day is on Monday, so.
Our busiest days are Monday. We're preparing for court on Mondays.
That's what I would say. Don't you?
And from what I've seen, the plan allows for that kind of flexibility. You could do, close certain offices on a Friday and other offices on a Monday. It
Or a
doesn't,
Wednesday, it doesn't matter.
or a Wednesday, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The other thing I just wanna throw out, Craig, obviously I'm here because we wanna cooperate.
Yeah,
But we're in the process of reopening now. We just made phase 2, and hopefully we're gonna make phase 3 in another week and a half or so. So we're just in the process of revving up, and we've got a backlog of cases that are coming up for trial. So I kinda need to know what the plan is number-wise,
sure.
because I need to make sure I have the personnel to do what we need to do.
So the way it reads is you can have multiple units. Tom, you've looked at this too. So we've have multiple units. You can have 3 or 4.
I do get
Yeah, you've got that. So, we could make the whole court employee section one unit with a plan of its
My
own.
understanding, each office can be its own unit.
Yeah.
And have its own plan.
All right.
So you might not need a day off. Maybe you just have people each individual take a day off.
Another day.
Right, right. So we could do it, I didn't look at this part. I don't know if we could do a half day as long as it added up the amount of hours that equaled to 20%.
So,
Yeah, I think it's one day.
I think it is a day.
I think it has a day to
Right.
apply for your unemployment for
Yep.
that day.
Yep,
I haven't seen anything that said half.
yep. So,
Do we have any idea how, I have a lot of new people right now, but I do have people who've been here a long time. Is this gonna affect their retirement?
it's a furlough, so it's not a layoff. So from what it doesn't affect healthcare, it doesn't affect any of your vacation days, everything accrues as normal. It just affects the payroll end of it for our side, for the budgeting process. And,
under this CARES Act program that.
yeah, everything stays in place.
Yeah, everything's in place, it's just,
All right, because I know I'm gonna get asked that.
Yep,
But it does affect vacation, sick.
it will affect
You
vacations.
cannot take any, or you are not eligible that week for payment.
But it's not gonna affect the accumulation of those things, right? 'Cause that would be considered.
Right.
Correct.
So they'll still accumulate
You'll
at the
accrue it.
regular rate, you just can't take any during this period.
And it will affect retirement because everybody gets paid according to the amount of money they make.
That is true. Yep.
All wages.
That's what I was wondering, because I know it's based on their wages.
Towards your retirement.
Okay, that's what I was concerned.
It wouldn't stop it wouldn't deny you, that's what.
But the amount will change
Oh,
because
yeah.
where wages are.
If you're 20% less wages,
That will be 20% less.
yeah, it changes the retirement a little bit.
Does this have any effect on the fact that everybody that works 35-hour weeks will be at 28 weeks?
28 hours.
A week, so it'll put us all at part-time?
not as I have seen, not as I have,
I think under the work share, they have to continue benefits.
yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
It's like you have your same job.
If it was strictly
Yeah.
employment, yes, it would affect your benefits, but work share, no.
And I have a question, because I was reading into this and looking at it. If our office is involved, and I'm involved, you're reducing me a day a week payroll-wise, accounts payable, and you're gonna add more to my plate? because workman's comp has to be done. I mean, the unemployment has to be done, and there's a big report, and there's a lot of
And there's
tracking.
filing for the unemployment.
Huge. Where's this gonna come
Huge
in
amount
at?
more.
'Cause I can't possibly add more to my schedule and be taken away a day a week.
I don't think it'd be daily, it'd be one day, or 20%.
Oh, I
Wait,
thought it was
that's what
gonna
she's
be a
saying.
lot.
That's what she's saying.
It's more work.
That's a whole nother,
There's a whole-
like, all it is in BSNA for payroll is all unemployment for you. You gotta do all that, that's like a whole nother job.
You have to report each person's name,
The
social
entire-
security
Right.
number,
Oh, yeah.
time,
The
address,
entire
each
unit every 2
unit.
weeks.
And you have to track if they took any vacation, sick, or whatever. It's,
And report all that in the portal. It's a whole nother system of its own.
So, and then, now if you're not allowed to take vacation while you're on this, how's that gonna affect somebody if they're taking a vacation?
Okay, that's a
They
question.
won't get in, they won't get their unemployment.
That I didn't see, that was a new one to me, I didn't know you couldn't take vacation.
Right here, when it says if you miss
So-
any time during the week and receive paid leave, those hours count as work time for calculating work share benefits? I mean, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding.
So that says to me that you can take paid leave.
Yeah, I never saw anything about not being able to take a vacation.
It was on-
If it's paid leave, yeah, it'd be the same thing.
That's right.
And I'm not no pro at this by any means.
For sure, I just wanted to
Yeah.
show you, because when you said that, thought I had caught that, but it doesn't have a page number. It's in the work share FAQs for employees, and it's, well, it's page 30, it looks like it should be page 36, but it doesn't say it on there, it's right after page 35. And the last question, I don't know, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, it just says, what happens if I use a day of paid leave, sick, vacation, personal, or leave? What about unpaid time off? And it says if you miss any time during a week and receive paid leave, those hours count as worked time for calculating work share benefits. But if you take paid leave, or take leave that is unpaid, you may not be eligible for the unemployment benefits. So if somebody were to take unpaid leave,
Right.
Is that referring to maybe if an employee goes on FMLA or something like that? Because they're gonna get paid through that.
or doesn't have time. Did you find it, Stephanie?
I have the FAQ up, I don't have the 36-page one, how many do you have?
It doesn't say 36 on it, it's on the page that came after page 35.
I don't have numbers on any of my pages.
Further back in there.
Was
Search
that
it.
one that was sent to you?
No, it was something I copied off of.
Yeah.
Oh, is this
Because I don't
in the
have that one.
toolkit?
No, on that document.
On this one?
Or that
It's only
document.
2 pages. I don't have nothing on there, I got 2 pages, that's it.
Do you find it, Steph?
Yeah.
What's the keyword?
Huh?
What does the front look like?
This is what the page looks like.
Let's go this way.
But
Oh,
it's,
it's
there's
one
several
page.
pages of it.
Oh.
Well,
says
does it have a
work
page
share.
number at the bottom?
No. It follows, okay. I'll show you. Did you find it?
Yeah, it's right here. Is that the one? Back in the back of that page.
I could
The
make
very
some
last
copies.
question.
Maybe it's right there. It's like the last page of what Cheryl's looking at.
What is the front page? Oh. So it's in,
Basically, it says, but the employee.
Yeah, there's numbers right here,
and
this says
35.
35, but the next page that it's on
But the
doesn't have a
employer is
number on
the
it.
clerk of the county.
So it's at the last page of this.
Okay, is there a page on the other side?
So
So it
it's,
comes after page 35, Carol, and it's the next page.
Does anybody crunch numbers to know exactly what we're saving to go through all this work? We say we're saving, but what's the number?
Don't know who's gonna be able to be off. It's 20% of payroll per person. So unless you know how many people are gonna be off, or who, what offices can do this.
Do we know if like elected officials aren't eligible for unemployment? Do we know if work share allows, their deputies? Cause deputies aren't
No.
supposed to be allowed either.
Nope.
So like, do we know who's?
Nope, doesn't change who is eligible.
Doesn't.
Eligibility is still the same. Yeah, it works the same, all the same rules as regular unemployment. It's just that you get to, for one thing, the employer doesn't have to pay on the employment insurance costs, and you can adjust a percentage instead of having to do it all or nothing.
Actually, we found, Stephanie had done a little looking into that, And we will be billed for it
In what way?
at the end of the year.
So let me know, because I mean, that's how they've been saying, is that it
Yeah,
wasn't billed.
No, it clearly
Um,
indicates it.
sorry, I jumped the page.
But I also had a place where it talked about the reimbursement on it. Reimbursing, important note. There are 3 bullet points, and the third one, the second part of the third one says reimbursing employees, which is the format that we are on. Benefits paid to workers under a work share plan will be charged on your billing statement.
I just think we need a clear understanding of how, if we're being reimbursed, how and when that's gonna happen, if it, you know, and the portion of the shares, or the work share program with the CARES Act, the federal funding, there is not I know it's working in other places, but just starting up, I'm just curious as to how we're gonna get that reimbursement.
We won't get any of that. We won't get any of the federal reimbursement. So the federal, each employee will get the $600 every 2 weeks.
No, I'm talking about our unemployment debt that we're gonna pay at the end of the year.
Sure, I mean, so, you know, that was my impression, was that there was no cost to employees or employers. So if there is, and like, we can't get a hold of anybody at unemployment, nobody will answer a question. So that's part of this before we do it. If indeed there's a cost, then we have to crunch that into it, but.
I understand if the whole premise is we wouldn't be accountable for it, but where is that coming? I mean, it's coming from the federal government to cover those costs, but how are we getting it?
No, that would be state government. So the state unemployment agency would be paying your individual unemployment benefits just like if you were normally laid off. The federal 600 is an addition. That's a federal subsidized program, not the state.
Right.
So the state's going to pay the whatever you would get, $72 for your day. If we had an average, if you were maxed out at the 362 for unemployment, you're going to get 20% of that 362. It's about $72 for that day that you're off. In addition to the $72, you're going to get the $600 federal, whatever.
During July.
Through the end of
But only a
July.
month.
Through the end of July.
And we have to pay
Through the-
taxes
This
on
goes
it.
through the rest of
Oh,
the
yeah.
year.
Well, you
Absolutely.
pay taxes if you were getting payroll.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Now, when you set up your unemployment, you can have it taken out, not the 600. So, I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot of people with surprises next March. And they're gonna get shocked that they have a tax bill that they didn't realize, but
Yeah, and the penalties that come with being over.
that's not our problem here. I mean, that's. So I'm just giving the information. If you guys don't wanna do it, that's fine with me. I'm not, either way. I mean, I thought, I know there's other counties doing it, the state is doing it. It's an opportunity to save some
That
money.
anybody's saying they don't wanna do it, I just think there are still a lot of questions. And I think people wanna have more specifics about what it's gonna look like for people and how it's gonna affect people financially before they make any kind of commitment to saying, yes, let's do this.
Well, it's gonna look different. It sounds like it's gonna need to look different for every office. Or we're gonna, I mean, everybody's gonna, what's that?
Or it's not gonna be worth it.
Right.
Right. I mean, if equalization's gotta be at their own unit, and they're gonna take a day off on their 20%, or the other, or treasurer's office and whoever, and which I don't think is a problem. It's just different units.
And the question would be for that is it gonna be a Teamsters unit, or can you separate it? Because they're all part of a union, so their union's gonna have to agree that each unit will have a different.
I thought that was one thing I'd read in there, was that we were supposed to first have this discussion with the union. Have we done that yet?
And that union as a whole has to agree to it.
Yeah.
Each bargaining unit.
Has that been done yet?
The union has been, your union, Stuart, Teamsters Curtis and I have talked about it, and he's already done it at that time he had like 4, he's already done. That was 2 weeks ago.
So why would you and Curtis have had a talk without the union representative or president being?
Because I asked him, how are you guys handling the work share program? What is happening? What are you doing? And he said, we just did 4 of them. He said, all it takes is a letter of understanding from the union. He said, it's not an issue, it's a good deal. I said, all right. I said, I wanted to talk to you and see how you guys handle it, and how it would be handled. I'm sure he's gotta come to the union, and run it by you guys, but, you know, before I even looked into it, that's what I wanted to find out, whether or not union was even gonna be on the same page with it.
So if the union as a whole
Well, you
has
guys,
to agree to it, that can't make the clerk's office a unit. If 2 of my employees, I just lost 4 days of work right there in 2 weeks. So
Well,
is it
yeah, you
unit
still could if they agreed, if the union agreed
as a whole?
as a whole that each office could be a separate unit.
yeah,
They're just agreeing for union members in different units.
That would work.
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I
But
said.
those have to be specific plans for each unit.
Right.
And so that puts the burden on someone to create these units with the individual employees, upload the information, input the information, and then track it, every 2 weeks.
And is that gonna get done in time for the $600 to be a benefit to any of us?
I think it has to answer, when you submit your plan, your initial plan has to be, they have to give you an answer within 15 days on whether they approve it.
So you're
That
looking,
puts us into July.
I don't know if it'll be 15 days.
puts it in the middle of July.
You get a week.
So it works for 2 weeks.
That started in April.
Well, I
In
think,
equalization, I mean, I'm just getting back to full staff, as you know, to do field work and to now, I mean, yeah, when I want a day off or whatever, yeah, but I mean, I'm just finally getting back into, now go back the other way. And I mean, I know she might kill me, but I just, by the 2 of them having a day off or whatever, or even myself, and like we just said, I mean, what's it saving? They're gonna do extra, and
I don't think it's gonna be that much extra, but it will be, there will be some extra work.
I mean, I don't know what their job consists of, but I'm just saying, somebody's gonna have to, it's not gonna be the equalization, so I can't, they're gonna have more stuff to do, and that, and I'm gonna lose out on another day of doing field work. So I mean, you're talking maybe possibly a revenue that my appraiser isn't out there getting for us. You know what I mean? It's just gonna put me behind. You know, we just got Lauren certified to go do field work, and now I'm gonna lose a day of her maybe possibly going out and doing some field work. So I mean, where, like we just said, what's the bottom line are you saving?
Yeah, I think that's the question. What realistically is it gonna save the county?
Yeah.
That makes it worth doing. Cause I think before you really can move forward, you're gonna have every department head look at their office, what can they get by with, and then come and talk to you about, well, this is what we're able to do and still function. And until you know that, you don't really know.
Well, that's what this meeting was about, to see, and what I'm getting is you guys aren't interested in it in any kind of broad way, which is fine, that's okay.
I'm
Nope.
interested in the day off, it's
Yeah.
just
Nobody's,
logistics, is it gonna work? You know, I mean, heck yeah, give me Friday off, let's go, but
And though I want you to have a Friday off, that's not where my perspective was. So our, we run a payroll of roughly
But as a
$100,000.
union, I gotta look at my people,
Mhm.
and like Kim, I'm mostly concerned about her over there looking terrified, but.
And also, as a union, one of the things that we were kind of thinking is this going to prevent layoffs? I mean, we would rather do this than get somebody laid off.
Cause we can't, well, there's no way we can afford to lose anyone else in the
well,
Teamsters.
from what I've read in there, that was the purpose of the furlough, was not to lay anybody
I
off.
mean, is that what we're looking at if we don't do this furlough day?
Honestly.
Because I think we're all.
Come budget time at the end of this year, when we get the word from the state on if they're reducing state revenue sharing, if they're reducing their revenue to this county, I think everything will be open for discussion. It's gonna have to be, because there's not gonna be any money.
And we may not be the ones making that decision.
But realistically, this should have been talked about in March when all this started. We should have done the furlough then. We didn't do no layoffs at all then.
Realistically, in March, nobody wanted us to do that. No county, no state, nobody did that. We were all advised, do not lay anybody off. That's the reality.
That's correct.
I think it was like the 1st of May when the state did it.
For our office,
it's
I
not
mean,
that much of a-
we caught quite a bit of slack for being so thinly scheduled.
Yeah.
But now we can take a whole day? What changed? I mean, we got hounded daily for that,
I mean,
but now that we're back open, how can we just say, okay, well, a day off is good? I don't get it.
This is our busy time too.
Yeah, it is very busy.
Also, remember, we're dealing with EO 129, I think now. I think we're up
Yes.
to 129.
129.
The governor extended the emergency until July 17th. Expect that to continue.
Mhm.
Because our Supreme Court denied leave, she now has the power to continue this. Come October, we may be living in a different EO world again. You may see another shutdown. You know, the predictions are we should be looking October or so for another increase in COVID cases. That issue is sitting there on the forefront. But we've got a governor that basically,
But we're one of 2 states in the green, Tom.
yeah. Well,
So if you, you guys are kind of asking why now, what's this? So I think what caused a lot of the counties to change and what happened is when the state did it. So the state did this very thing, what was it, 3 weeks ago?
1st of May, I
So as soon as they did that, every county and every municipality, city, county said, well, if the state can use this program, we're gonna use it.
there were some counties that jumped on early.
The ones that had, most of them that had like enterprise, like bus transit, where they actually, where their workload was reduced because nobody can ride a bus, or, I mean, a lot of that was. But I think probably the biggest reason why this all of a sudden took on a life with counties and municipalities was state did it with 33,000 workers, then why don't we do it?
Well, from what I read in the, looked up in the documentation, there was like the big 5, you know, Kent, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Detroit, that have federal monies actually allocated for this program. From what I'm gathering, the rest of it, it's like, okay, here's the remainder of the pot of all the money we're giving you, and split it up per county. I mean, that was what I shared with somebody else. I was bouncing that off this morning.
Well, I know you guys are being asked to kind of look into your crystal ball and, you know, figure out what's
exactly right.
happening. We really don't have the information, but I think as from the department heads, they're gonna have to go back and talk to their employees, and there are gonna be a lot of questions about how is this gonna affect me financially, but I think one of the questions that's been thrown out there is, when we go back to talk to employees, do we have to tell them that realistically there's a possibility that people will be laid off if we don't do this program?
No, we're not, there's not a threat. I mean,
Well, I'm not saying
not even
it's
a,
threat,
not
but
even
I guess
a,
that's part of the consideration.
Next year.
You know,
Well,
the one thing that makes this program worth doing is to avoid layoffs.
well, so
So
they're,
if we have to go back to the employees and go, well, there probably won't be layoffs, or maybe there will, or we don't know, or,
But
crystal
on the
ball.
same hand, you can't even make a promise that if we do this, it's still.
No.
Or
No.
result in layoffs.
I mean, the only promise we can make is it will reduce expenditures to the county, and it will.
That's the only thing.
I mean, it has to, unless there's some secret line in there that we are gonna pay the insurance costs, which I'm still, that's a new one to me. Tom, do you know anything about that? I don't either.
No,
Will we build for them? How will we get them? And
Yeah, how does that happen?
that,
Because it was promised to employers, to anybody using this program, that there was no cost, so I'd be curious to how they're gonna, and why, or what that means.
is it the bigger counties that are doing this, or, I mean, cause we're a small county, is it like?
I know Mecosta County has done it.
Sheboygan, Genesee, Muskegon,
Sheboygan.
Osceola, Shiawassee, Mecosta.
The only two even remotely close to us is Osceola with 23,000 people and Sheboygan with 26,000.
So I mean,
That's even close to us.
yeah, so we're not even,
Mecosta County is about our
we're
size.
small.
But,
43,000.
yeah, but $26,000 budget.
Yeah, but Sheboygan's also
Yeah.
got
Million.
in some degree of industry in the area. We don't.
That's what I'm saying, so if we take this day off, I mean, we're short-staffed, a lot of offices, I mean, they would be really short in the clerk's office. So we're short-staffed kinda as it is, I mean, realistically.
Now, will this, it can't possibly be across the board payroll 20%. What happens with like the salary employees? Is this just the per hour employees?
It would only, yeah, they'll be the only the ones eligible for,
Right, so
the
it's not
unemployment.
an across the board 20%, you'd have to.
right, yeah, I mean, we
Well,
pay a
there
payroll of
could be some-
100,000 and it wouldn't be 20% of 100,000. It'd be, but if it was 20% of half that, of 50,000, that's $10,000 every 2 weeks.
Well, I think we should look at it and really, really see what we can really find out about it in the next few days, because I think we all have to think about, as much as I wanna see that $600 gone, if indeed we can get started on this and get more research done, then all of a sudden get into this program, and then this 600 is continued on for another 5 months, we'd be crazy not to get ready to get on this thing. Because if it does get extended, and I hope it doesn't, because it's crazy, but on the same token, if it does, it would be beneficial to everybody to get on this program. I mean, the feds are throwing money crazy to everybody, but if that got extended, we'd be,
And my concern is, what does the fall look like?
right, I mean,
We don't know, because of the science involved in this, their initial predictions weren't even close. But what's coming in the fall? We know fall is typically the beginning of our flu season. How is this not gonna be consistent with what we typically see in the fall?
Well, the other question becomes, is this really are you gonna be suffering with the flu or with this disease? 'Cause we don't know that either, it's like,
I can get a hold of them, Cosby, find out.
Well, rather than, I don't, whether we have it or we don't have it, my concern would be for the employees is that what we may have is no $600 federal supplement come fall. And you would be doing a work share program with only the state unemployment's 20% of your total amount. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So,
When we do the work share program, it says in the literature here that can be approved for up to 52 weeks. When we apply, do we have to commit to a certain amount of time?
when I looked at I think you can change, you can do things to the plan. You have to initially give a date of time, but I think you can update and change it as you go.
So if we did it and then decided in the fall that it wasn't working for us anymore, we could.
We could do it through the end of July and say, at this point, we're done. I mean, if the feds don't redo
Looks a little suspicious, don't you think?
when the state of Michigan's plan ends? July 25th.
Yeah, that
So,
does not surprise me.
yeah, their plan is till the 25th of July, so, and then they'll go from there. So I don't know, I'm kinda getting that people
Even
aren't
the
real
state
excited
sa-
about it,
Even the
so.
state salaries employees are furloughed.
Yes, yep, they lose it though, right?
No, I don't know.
No, I think they lose it. No, they're not getting it back. They have to,
Certain ones are not, yeah.
But they're getting their $600.
yeah, they could be, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I think so.
I think if you're not eligible, you don't get any of it.
I just talked to a guy yesterday that works at the air base in Alpena. They were on the work share program, all that kind of stuff, getting the 600. They were called back, and I'm not sure what position he's in, but that group that got called back, where he's at, lost that work share, 600.
Right.
But there's still people out there still getting it, but that group, whatever they were classified in, lost the $600 work share program.
I'm sure they were happy about going back. too.
No, they're not very happy. But,
Well,
there's
it's the board's pleasure. Aaron, would you like to?
I just, wanna say, as far as the union goes, sorry, Kim. My advice from Curtis was take the money and run. The only thing I'm worried about is the individual offices that, like, not everybody can do Friday, not everybody can do Monday,
It doesn't sound
And
like
it's
everybody can do a
dropping.
day.
but, so I definitely think you gotta talk to each individual office and find out what is gonna work.
I think we have them all here. So that was,
I think it would be kind of confusing too if different offices were closed for different days, if you were, I mean, that's just
If
way
you
too
came in one
confusing
day
for
to
the
do all your
public.
business and.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly, I mean, that's.
Well, there's nothing that says that the entire office has to
Mondays
be
and
gone.
Fridays.
Other than that, the entire office wouldn't be
Well,
closed,
I don't,
just
there's
one
no one in
person.
my office that would even be, I mean, Nancy's not gonna be eligible, I don't believe. Well, I guess we'd have to find out, but I don't believe she is.
no, I don't think so. So you don't get to close.
Well, and we were just talking, only one of my court employees is hourly. Everybody else is salary.
So there's no real benefit there.
I guess you'd have to say how many employees are eligible. Is it like, we only talking 20 people?
Well, we got
The max?
12 in your group, isn't there? 9? So we got 9 in the Teamsters, 2 for you guys, right? That's 11. It seems like I had 14 was my number. Trina, you probably got the number right in your head.
In my head?
In this building, hourly?
No. No, I do not have that information.
Well,
How many
is
people are hourly?
Dave's salary, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
John is, I am.
Well, I believe that Tom, am I right? Salaried workers, elected officials aren't eligible.
Elected officials.
Salaried workers are.
Eligible salaried are.
Yeah.
But then you also have the issues of the deputies.
Deputies are not
Because we're-
eligible.
Deputies, I don't think are, but certainly, you think they are?
I'm not gonna say yes or no.
Yeah, I don't know on that
Still
one.
Not an answer on that.
Yeah, I assume they
That's still sitting
weren't.
out there floating someplace. And then the question becomes, are you paying, unemployment on deputies?
Well, we're not paying any, so I don't know.
You're sure?
I mean, are they included
Yeah, we
in our
don't.
bill,
We pay as we go.
unemployment insurance?
Yeah, you gotta
We
pay.
don't pay in a regular
We
basis.
don't pay regular unemployment like a regular business. So, yeah, department heads are, I assume department heads were eligible, whether they're salaried or not. But elected officials and deputies, elected officials for sure, no. Deputies, I don't know.
We may never.
We may never know.
I know
Yeah.
through a different experience with a deputy that they were eligible.
They
for
were eligible
employment.
in another
How
county?
does it affect EMS?
No, in our
That
county.
one out in
It was-
EMS though, would they close down too?
That would probably be under another unit, and maybe they wouldn't. I know, talking with the sheriff, I don't know. Scott, you still on there? I don't even know if we're,
EMS? Not EMS, MSU. Thank you, Trina.
oh.
MS.
Each one, that's the conversation we're having. Are they able to do that? Do they want to do that? Can they do that?
Well, they get paid by this county.
They get paid, yeah, they might.
Well, we
not-
pay for the one person. We pay for,
Right.
Right.
for the secretary.
Looking at the sheriff's department at all?
Conversation was had. I don't necessarily want to. Scott, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, go ahead. And we had this conversation, and what was something that you would be interested in if we had to do it?
The only people I have I can look at would be the cooks. Everybody else doesn't have a replacement. The jobs that my clerks do are different from each other. And I staff a minimum staffing on the road patrol of 2, same with jail. So any vacancies have to be filled with another person. So it doesn't really work. I mean, the only place I could look at doing something would be the cooks.
All right, thanks.
Fasting Friday.
Fasting Friday, yeah.
Nobody eats.
All right, guys.
I think that would be cruel and unusual punishment.
So this could take on the life of a voluntary layoff of people. I mean, that happens. Those who would like to participate in this program, if your department head or boss is able to do that, we do it that way. Because I'm getting a lot of,
And that would be through the end of the year though? If we, agree to
It would
it.
be until the $600 ran out.
I mean, I'm game.
Until it stops, but like I say, I don't know what fall brings. I don't know if you're gonna see an increase in COVID numbers.
Another
Science-
shelter in place.
Science is saying potentially you're gonna see an increase again. So what does that do to Governor Whitmer? I suspect we'll see shutdowns again. If that happens,
But my crystal ball tells me there's not gonna be any money left if we shut down again to pass out like we have been.
Yeah.
I think the $600 is gonna be extended.
The counties that have done it too, all have
It's the
administrators.
gut feeling.
Yeah.
When we talked to
Like
Macosta,
this, show married at
the
first
hair
sight.
administrator was
They're
bearing the
asking for a
load.
commitment to
Was
something
what?
he doesn't even.
They were
don't even
bearing
know
the
what it
load of
looks
the
like.
extra.
Oh, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's gonna be every 2 weeks you gotta tell.
And one commissioner is dedicated full-time,
Your gut feeling
the one I
to
talked to.
listen people.
Yep.
Let's address the work involved. Carolyn, do you hear that?
Pardon? I'm sorry.
The last time I
now,
went with your.
Craig,
gut
and I don't
feeling,
know the
you went
answer
to
to this,
the
can
corner.
one unit agree
It's
to it
right,
and
I
not
was
another?
wrong.
Keep it to
I
yourself.
mean, if you've got the understanding.
Yeah, cause you create the units.
Huh?
You create your own
You
units.
create your own units.
So you might only have one unit that has, you know, you could,
Two.
a minimum of 2 people. You could have one unit that has, I believe you could have one unit that had
So I can't.
employees from separate offices.
So we only have one person in our, other than that.
But I think we could
Well,
create
Tom could
one unit that had
Within the,
Or using with somebody else.
with.
4
yeah,
people in it. Could be different offices, but it's
I
one
think
One
unit
unit under the county.
for the employee, yeah, for us. And this one unit, we have 5 people that will be reduced their hours by 20%.
The employers are given the flexibility to organize which employees are in a work share plan.
And who's gonna do the work? Who's gonna do all of this unemployment work?
Kim,
It clearly states the employer.
Not on Friday.
The clerk's office isn't the employer of all the employees in the county.
You're a co-employer of 2. Or 3.
Well, I think we need to look.
So let's leave it at this. You guys figure out, this is plenty for you to talk about and get back with us by, say, what next week? What day?
I don't care.
Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a morning meeting, but Wednesday afternoon.
Let's get back together on Wednesday. If anybody wants, and if, can your office run with one less person? Does one person can go, can't go, whatever.
One day a
It's
week.
not mandatory. We're not talking mandatory layoffs. We're not going through the seniority. So that's all provided for in the union. And when I said that at our meeting, that's what it would get to or could get to if it's a regular layoffs. Goes by seniority and then people are gone the
We
whole
have to at
time.
least talk about it, because
But-
we don't wanna be standing there at the end of the day going, well, we
No.
never even brought it up.
Yeah. I wanna get a hold of NEMCOG and see what they've got, because I'm sure they've got quite a few people.
There's gonna be some accounting firms that are handling this for some places
Well,
too.
Sheboygan just.
Pete will look into
started
that
up.
and see.
Call Graysick down there and
Yep.
see if they have
Just
employers that are
administrate.
doing that, they could come in.
Yep, it's a low enough amount, it'll just offset on the
Something
20%.
about hiring new people.
You can't hire new people to take the place of old ones or something?
That we wouldn't be taking the place of.
No, it'd be contract.
Yeah,
All right, is any other questions? We can
but
beat
as long as you
this.
don't burn up.
Yeah.
Right, no, it has to be a benefit, for sure.
Good.
Everybody understand where we're at and what we'd like to try and do?
That was wish.
I guess the takeaway for department heads is just go see if it's even possible for you to participate, basically.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we'll do more, I mean, you guys have as much as I have as far as information, it looks like. I'll confirm, we'll try and find out something on the deputies and see where they're at.
I don't know how you're gonna find that out.
Confirm it.
For over a year.
Yeah, it's true, we've been waiting for over a
I
year.
haven't heard a word in the last 8 months.
Yep,
It was, yeah, no, they do not.
Not at
The
the,
answer is no. They were not eligible as appointed.
They were, the claim
did
was
you
denied.
get something?
Yes,
in
it was
writing?
denied.
The denial,
Yeah, a denial.
Of the claim?
Yeah,
And it states that it's because she was a deputy,
Correct.
because she was an appointed
appointed position.
It'd be nice nice if they'd have sent me a copy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know.
I mean, we paid it,
Why? What?
though, right? And we're getting reimbursed for it or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're still waiting for reimbursement.
We never even got to talk to that nice judge again.
Then we lost the
She was
lawsuit.
fun.
Yeah, she was definitely a little leftist.
All right. Next Wednesday, we'll,
Can I get a copy of that?
What time?
1 o'clock.
I'd like
Simon
to see if they
Alpina.
cited any.
1 o'clock on Wednesday.
Simon Alpina. We may end up doing it soon.
Okay.
I don't think they did, Tom.
What's tea time?
She
Noon?
said to hell with it, we're gonna
You adjourn?
deny it, you
Yes.
wanna appeal
I'll
it,
get a hold
appeal
of
it,
them.
and she said, I'm done with
Yeah,
this.
so what we're talking about is we'll get a hold of Grace,
Well,
see what they charge us
we
to
lost the
administer this,
lawsuit.
do the reporting. If it's a couple $100 every 2 weeks.
Didn't they initially deny it though, and that's why we ended up?
Yeah, if we can get an estimate from them, how much it would cost, they come back, tell us how many employees would be on it, we can, right there, it'd be clear as the day.
Yes.
If it's worth it or
Yeah.
not. If we're only gonna save a couple $1,000s, not worth it. If we're gonna save 40,000,
But
50,000.
if they do extend that 600, which I hope they don't, but if they do, and this goes on, if I
going.
was sitting over there as an employee, I would, I'll take one.
The conversation.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, but the issue isn't the employee who wants to stay, it's the issue is if they can get the work done in the office.
Well, we're gonna have that same conversation in January if we have to lay them off no matter what.
Oh, I know.